And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the simple framework that you need to follow if you want to scale your business and get high paying clients predictably. Now, you might be wondering, why wasn't I more specific? Why didn't I say scale to 10K a month or 30K per month or 50K per month or 100K per month? Well, the reality is that everyone has different goals and different ambitions. My goal with this video is just to give you the insights, and then it will be up to you to decide whether you're going to be using them to scale to 10K a month, 30K per month, 50K per month, 100K per month. Because maybe some of you watching this video will want to use this blueprint to scale to 30K per month. Maybe your goal is to have a very lean business, have a very low overhead, have very high margins, have a small team, maybe even just yourself and maybe like an appointment setter or like a VA, and you want to make it more like a lifestyle business. You want to have freedom. Or maybe you're someone that is very ambitious, someone that really want to achieve massive goals, and you like the chaos, you like the challenges, you want to have a big team, you want to have a massive impact. Whatever your goal is, the common denominator is always the same. And guess what is the common denominator? Whether your goal is to get to 30K per month or to get to 1 million a month, the denominator is always the same, and you're gonna need clients. It's really as simple as that. Now, before we get into the technical part, we need to understand the business that we are operating in. The reality is that if you have a coaching business, a consulting business, a course business, or a service-based business, you are still selling the same exact thing, which is a transformation. It doesn't really matter how you sell it. The way you sell it is just the vehicle. If it's one-on-one coaching, if it's group coaching, if it's a course, if it's a done-for-you service, it doesn't matter. In all of those cases, you're still selling the same exact thing, which is a transformation. Now, in order for us to understand how we're going to be getting clients consistently and predictably, we first need to understand what is the journey that people are going to go through. So the end point is going to be the transformation. That's where you're going to be helping the person. Now, what comes before the transformation, if you think about it? The step before is going to be a transaction. There is no transformation if there is no transaction. Now, in order for a transaction to happen, you need to have a call with the prospect, a call with the person that is potentially interested in getting your help. Now, in order for someone to have a call with you, most of the times they're either going to have to consume content or they're going to have to be messaging you, personal outreach. Now, in order for someone to discover your content or reach out to you, they need to show interest. They need to raise their hand and be like, hey, I'm interested in what you have to say. And in order for that to happen, guess what needs to happen? They need to know that you exist. So you need traffic, you need eyeballs on yourself and your offer. If you truly understand this process, I can guarantee you that you will never look at your business in the same way, and you will finally be able to understand why you might have been stuck or hit a plateau. Now, how do we get clients on demand? We need to dial in every single variable, and realistically, there are 4 key variables that you need to focus on. Number 1 is going to be the offer. The second variable are going to be leads. The third variable is going to be the mechanism that you're going to be using to turn those leads into calls. And finally, the fourth variable is going to be a process to turn those calls into clients, into enrollments. Now let's get started with the actual offer. Remember that in this business, you're not selling coaching, you're not selling consulting, you're not selling a course or a service. You are selling a transformation. Nobody cares if you give them 4 coaching calls, a workbook, a template, support on Slack rather than Discord. Nobody cares. What they care about is the transformation and the help that they can get from you. And the transformation needs to be, number 1, clear. Number 2, extremely specific. And number 3, it needs to be logical. Now, a transformation is basically just solving a set of problems in a specific order, okay? Once we know what is the order and what are the sets of problems that you're helping the client solve, you can then craft the perfect offer. Which now brings me to the next point, which is going to be pricing. Now, pricing is incredibly important because the first thing you need to understand is that pricing has a huge impact on your ability to achieve the goal. Whether your goal is to get to 30K per month, 50K per month, 100K per month, 1 million a month, you need to understand that pricing has a huge impact. Let's say, for example, that your goal is to get to 30,000 euros per month. Now you can see here that we have 2 different scenarios. Now on the left, you can see that we have scenario A, where the offer is $3,000. Now if we want to get to 30K per month, really straightforward. 30,000 divided by 3,000 means that we need to sell 10 units per month, 10 clients. On the right, you can see that we have scenario B, where the offer instead of 3,000 is now 300 euros. That means that if we want to get to 30K per month, we need to sell 100 units per month. So from one side, we need to get 10 new clients per month. From the other side, we need to get 100 clients per month. Now, which one of these options seems easier? If you're selling a product for 300 euros, you will need to acquire 1,200 customers per year in order for you to make 30,000 euros per month. 1,200 customers is a ton of people. And realistically, reaching that number requires either a massive organic audience or massive ad spend. On the other side, we only need 120 people, 10 clients per month, to make 360,000 euros per year, which is 30,000 euros per month. And realistically, that number might even be lower than that if you introduce a recurring element, if you introduce some sort of upsells. And if you do things right, you'll realistically only need 60 to 100 clients per year to get to 30K per month. Now, I know that some of you watching this video might be thinking, well, there is no way I'm going to be able to charge 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 euros for my offer. Well, the reality is that if right now you're not able to charge that amount, there are only two possible reasons. Number one, you don't know how to position and how to package your offer correctly, meaning that the people that you're talking to, the people that you're presenting the offer to, don't see the value and don't really understand how by investing that amount they're going to be able to solve their problems. And the second most common reason is that you never actually tried to charge that amount, because maybe you have some limiting belief, maybe because you don't believe in your offer, maybe because you have some imposter syndrome. There might be different reasons, but a lot of people never even try to charge more for their offer. Now, I can guarantee you that if you do things right, trust me when I say that 99% of the offers can be priced at 2,500 euros or more. I've seen offers going for 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 euros, and they were some offers in the weirdest niches and in the weirdest industry that I've ever seen, and people were able to charge that amount. So most of the times, again, it's either because you don't know how to package and position your offer correctly, or because you've never done it before. Now, going back to the target, let's say, for example, that your target is 40K per month. We know that in order to get there, we need to sell a transformation. We need to have an offer that is high ticket. What comes before the offer? If you think about it, before the offer, you're gonna have to have calls with people. Now, once again, you will see that throughout this presentation, I will talk about numbers. I really try to break it down to make it as simple as possible for you to understand. So we know that the target is 40K per month. We know that the offer is 3,000 euros. In this case, we need 10 clients per month. So the next step that we need to work on is the average closing rate. So you need to look back. Last 30 days, last 90 days, maybe last 6 months. On average, if you have calls with 10 people that actually show up to the call, how many of those do you close? And that's going to determine the closing rate. So for example, let's say that your closing rate is 25%. We know that if we want to get to 30,000 euros per month and our offer is 3,000 euros, then we will need 40 calls per month, which if you break it down is just 1.33 calls per day. And you see that once you break down the numbers, it becomes so much easier. 30,000 euros a month might look like a big number, but when you break it down and when you look at exactly how many calls you might need, it's just 1.3 calls per day. Is that a lot? In most cases, it's not a lot. Now that we know how many calls we need per month, we need to take once again a step backwards. Think about it. What comes before the call? Leads. So the question now becomes, how many leads do we need? And by leads, I mean people showing interest, people opting in your funnel, people messaging you on Instagram, just people raising their hand and be like, I'm interested in what you have to say. Now, how many leads do we need to book 1.43 calls per day? What you need to do here is you need to look at your data and you need to go backwards. Last 30 days, last 60 days, last 90 days, last 6 months. What was your lead to call conversion rate? Meaning, if in the last 30 days you had 10 calls and you generated 100 leads, that means that your lead to call conversion rate is 10%. Now, if you don't have access to that number, we have already identified the first problem. You don't have clarity over your numbers and you're kind of moving blindly. Now, again, just to make things a little bit easier, I can tell you that after working on about 150 clients, on average, the lead to call conversion rate is about 10%, meaning that you need 10 leads to book one call. And if that number is lower than 10%, meaning that if you get 10 leads, you don't book at least one calls, it means that your lead conversion mechanism is broken. And the problem might be the conversion content assets. The problem might be the messages, the script that you use, the follow-up strategies. If you are converting less than 10% of the leads, something is broken and something needs to be fixed. But let's just say that it's 10% to make everything sound a little bit easier. Now, in order for you to reach the goal, 40,000 per month, we know that we need 40 calls. We know that we have a 10% lead to call conversion rate. That means that we need 400 leads per month, which once again, you break it down, divide it by 30, and we're gonna need 14 leads per day. Now, how do we get 14 leads per day? The reality is that we only have two options. We have organic and we have paid. In both of the options, you pay. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I thought that organic is free. Well, let me tell you that it's not, because with organic, you still have to pay. You have to pay with time. With paid, you have to pay with money. Now, I can already see some of you raising their eyebrows and be like, oh, but I thought paid ads don't work anymore. I'm sure that like you need a lot of money to run paid ads. Let me tell you that if you get to the end of the video, you will understand exactly what are some of the different strategies, because there are some strategies that you can start running even if you have a low budget. We have clients that literally start with like 15, 20 euros per day. And from there, they were able to slowly increase the budget. But you can start with a small budget and still see great results. And if you're wondering, paid ads don't work, well, paid ads will always work. If they didn't work for you, most of the times it's because you didn't track the data correctly and because you didn't have a strategy. Now, if you watch the video until the end, you will see exactly how you can get started and how you can get great results with paid ads and how you can ensure and guarantee success. Now, going back to what I was saying before, the first option is going to be organic. So if you want to get 14 leads per day, the first option that we can do is we can start posting content and we can do it the organic way. Now, there is one problem. When was the last time that you created a post, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, where you knew exactly how many leads it was going to generate? The answer is never. Because with organic, it's always a hit or miss. Some weeks, your content gets traction, you have leads, you have calls in the pipeline, everything goes well. Some weeks, you have zero traction, your calendar is drier than the Sahara Desert. Now, am I saying that you should be doing organic? Absolutely not. Like, organic is incredible, it's a long-term asset, it's something that is really going to help you, but what I'm saying is that you shouldn't be overly relying on organic because it's unpredictable and it's very difficult to scale. Now, what other options we have? We have outbound prospecting, meaning cold outreach. That's messaging people on Instagram, reaching out to people in Facebook groups and try to get them on a call. Now, the problem with outbound prospecting is that in most cases, you come off as needy and you come off as desperate. And a lot of times you also need a huge volume of messages in order for this to work. Now, am I saying that you shouldn't be doing cold prospecting or cold outreach? Not at all. I'm saying that, once again, you shouldn't be overly relying on that because it's difficult to scale and it's very unpredictable. And it also takes a lot of work and a lot of time. Which brings me to the last option that we have, which is truly the only one that is predictable and scalable. And of course, I'm talking about paid ads. It's the only hyper leverage system. Because if you think about it, when it comes to paid ads, you can basically have a system that is completely automated that can run for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And the system is going to find the right prospects for you. It's going to get their attention. It's going to educate them and it's going to follow up with them through something called remarketing. Now, you can do the same thing with cold prospecting. Of course, you can go on someone's page, you can see the comments, you can start reaching out to the people that engage with like the competitors. You can try to start a conversation, try to get them on a call, but all this process will be manual. With ads, it runs 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's evergreen and it's hyper leveraged. Now, to really make my point, there are a couple more things that I want to tell you about organic, prospecting, and ads. So when it comes to the organic, the underlying problem is that number one, the moment you stop posting is the moment you stop getting leads, calls, and clients, which is a problem. It's not something that is evergreen. It's not something that goes on autopilot. The second problem is that unless you go hard on YouTube, the content on Instagram will never really compound. Like you post today, it's going to get views for like 5 days, 7 days, 2 weeks. But it's impossible for you to have a piece of content that is going to grow over time, like in 6 months from now. On YouTube, on the other hand, like it's a great platform. It does require more time, it does require more effort, but it's a platform where your assets compound over time. Like if you have a good video, it's still going to be getting views 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now. But on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, it just doesn't work like that. Then the third problem is that organic reach is decreasing year after year because platforms will be moving to a pay to play. If you think about Facebook, If you think about Facebook, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you were posting something, it was getting reach, it was getting comments, it was getting engagement. If you post something on Facebook now, you literally get 5 likes and maybe 1 comment in most cases. And the same probably will happen to Instagram, because it's just how platform works. They give you the traction first, they kind of get you addicted to the platform, and then at some point they want you to pay. It's just how the business model works. And the fourth problem is that you have zero predictability. Then when it comes to outbound prospecting, the underlying problem is that the math is against you. The second problem is that Messenger, for example, has chat restriction to avoid spamming. On a daily basis, you can send maybe, 20, 30 messages, and after that you have a restriction because Facebook doesn't want you to spam people. And the same will likely happen on Instagram. Even in that case, 2 years ago, if I look at some clients that were heavily relying on cold prospecting and cold DMing people, they could send a ton of messages. Today, if they send a ton of messages, they get the account restricted, they get the account suspended for a couple of days. So even Instagram is likely going to go the same way, because Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of these platforms, they want their users to have the best experience possible. And you cannot have the best experience possible if people are spamming you. And of course, there are some softwares that can automate the process, but again, most of the times, there is a risk that your account is going to get banned. Because if you send 2,000 messages a day through a software, Instagram is not going to like it. At some point, you're going to have some restrictions. And the fifth problem is that you still need to actively search for the people to reach out to. And with ads on the other side, everything is automated. The algorithm is going to find the right prospect, is going to literally show the ad to the right people that are actively looking for the solution that you are providing. You're going to get their attention, you're going to educate them, and you're going to get calls on autopilot if you do things right. So it's going to be an automated process. Now, as I was saying before, I'm sure that some of you are raising their eyebrows and you have some burning questions. The first question that you might be asking yourself is, do I need to spend a lot of money for ads to work? The answer is not. As I said before, we have clients that started running ads with literally 20 euros per day, and at the same time, we have clients that started running ads with 1,000 euros per day. In both cases, it worked. So even if you have a low budget, that's not a problem. It's not something that should be stopping you. Now, the second thing that you might be wondering is, I thought paid ads don't work anymore. Well, paid ads, as I was saying before, they will always work. If they didn't work for you, it's either because you have a problem with the unit economics of your business. Maybe the offer price is too low. Maybe your closing rate is not right. Maybe your offer is not clear. But paid ads will always work. If they didn't work for you, it's either because you didn't have clarity over the numbers or because you did things wrong. And the third thing that you might be thinking about is, what strategy works best when it comes to paid ads? And I have a full section on that, which I'm going to be covering now. You have strategies such as the Instagram DM ads, live webinars, Skool groups, VSLs, low ticket offers, Instagram follower ads, 3-day challenges, lead magnets. You have a ton of different strategies. Now, not all those strategies actually work, and that's why in the next couple of minutes, I actually want to break down each one of these strategies and show you which strategy has the highest chances of success, the highest probability of you getting a return with the money that you are going to be investing into ads. Now, after working with more than 150 clients and after spending literally millions and millions of dollars for them on ads, I can confidently tell you what works and what doesn't work. And to be honest with you, any of those strategies can actually work. But if there is one lesson that I learned over the last 5 years, is that if you want to win, you need to play your cards right by carefully analyzing each strategy and betting on the one that has the best odds of success. It's really as simple as that. And that's what I'm going to be showing you in the next 2 minutes. I'm going to be breaking down the pros and the cons of each strategy. And I'm going to tell you which one of these strategy is the one that has the most likelihood of success. So we're going to analyze each strategy and assign a score from 1 to 10 depending on the likelihood of success of each strategy. And the way we're going to be measuring it is going to be by 5 key metrics. Number 1 is going to be trackability. So how trackable is a strategy? Number 2, how scalable is a strategy? Number 3, can you start with a low daily budget, meaning $20 to $60 a day? Number 3, can you see results fast? And number 5, is it difficult to implement? And then based on these 5 metrics, we're going to be assigning a score that goes from 1 to 10. So let's get started with the first strategy. It's a strategy that is quite new. A lot of people talk about it, and it's the IG follower strategy. Now, if you don't know how the strategy works, it's actually quite simple. So you have the ad. From the ad, you send people to your Instagram account, you start getting followers, and then from there, you start a conversation with them, and then you book them onto a call. Now, the strategy looks great from the outside, but there are some pretty big problems. Number 1 is going to be the trackability. And that's why I give it a 3 out of 10 when it comes to trackability, because unfortunately, Instagram does allow you to track how many followers you're getting from the ad, and doesn't allow you to track the cost per follower. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some ways to track it. You can track how well your profile is converting, and then you simply take the cost per profile visit and divide it by the conversion rate of the profile. But in 99% of the cases, especially if you run more than one ad at a time, it will be impossible, and I mean impossible, to determine from which ad the calls are coming from. And if you're also good at organic, it will be even more difficult to tell which followers are coming organically and which followers are coming from the paid ads campaigns. And that's why when it comes to the trackability, I need to give it a 3 out of 10 because it's really, really bad. And again, remember the key rule: what is not trackable is not scalable and is not optimizable. So that's why I give it a 3 out of 10. Scalability, again, it's been very rare that I've seen people spending more than $200 to $300 per day on this strategy because of the problems that I mentioned before. Trackability, scalability, it's very difficult. Now, can you start with low budget? The answer is yes. You can start with a daily budget that is even like $10 a day. You can do it. Can you see results fast? The answer is yes. Is it difficult to implement? It's pretty easy and pretty simple to implement as a strategy. But overall, I give it a 5 out of 10. Now, in some cases it works well. In some cases it doesn't really work that well. The second strategy is the IGDM strategy. So in this case, you send people from the ad to your inbox. They're gonna message you a specific keyword, and from there you start a conversation with them and you get them on a call. Now, trackability is a bit better compared to the follower strategy because you can track the different keywords and you can assign a specific keyword to the different ads, but still, like, you need to use ManyChat, and most of the times, like, it's quite difficult to implement it correctly. So that's why I give it a 6 out of 10. Scalability, also in this case, I need to give it a 6 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, we had some clients that were able to spend all the way up to $2,000 per day on this strategy, but I would say 9 clients out of 10 that we implemented the IGDM strategy for, like 90% of them were not able to spend more than $300 per day. Can you start with low budget? Yes, you can. Can you see results fast? Yes, you can. Is it difficult to implement? I said medium because, again, the ManyChat is not really simple to implement. So overall, better than the follower strategy. I give it a 6.5 out of 10, but still we are far from a 10 out of 10. Now, one more thing that I need to say with the IGDM is that you're never really going to be able to optimize for calls, which will have an impact on the quality of the people that you'll be attracting. That's why a lot of times when you run the IGDM ads, you have a lot of broke people, a lot of unqualified people, and that the reason is really simple. You're not able to optimize for calls, and because of that, you get a lot of unqualified prospects. The next strategy that we have are live webinars. So the way that it works is that you start running ads, you build up an audience of people registering for the webinar. Normally this time frame is 2 weeks. So you basically do the lead generation for 2 weeks, then you have the live webinar, and then you book calls. Now, when it comes to trackability, it's a 10 out of 10. You know exactly from which ad the calls came from which ad the sales came from. So it's a 10 out of 10. Scalability, 7 out of 10, simply because it's not evergreen. Like, you always need to, at some point, pause the ads, you need to have the live webinar, and then you need to take those calls. So it's never really a 10 out of 10. Can you start with low budget? No, you always need a little bit more budget. Most of the times, like, the lowest I think that we started with some clients were like 100 to 125 a day, but most of the times, like, you start a little bit higher than that. Can you see results fast? Not really, because again, if you think about it, like, most of the times you're going to need to run the ads for 2 weeks, then you have the live webinar, and then you start booking calls. So most of the times, like, it can take up to 3 weeks from the moment you start running the ads to even book the first few calls and close the first few clients. So it's not that fast. Is it difficult to implement? It's very difficult, mainly from a tech perspective. There is quite a lot of integration, quite a lot of tech setup that you need to use if you want to get it right. So that's why overall I give you the same score as the IGDM strategy, which is a 6.5 out of 10. Then we have the low ticket offer. Now, if you don't know how it works, it's actually quite simple. You have the ad, you send people to a sales page. On that sales page, you sell like a micro offer that is between $7 to $97, and then you can have some sort of upsells or order bumps. And from there, once people buy the small offer, then you can ascend them to your main offer, whether it's 3K, 5K, 10K, whatever the offer is. Now, from a trackability perspective, it's a 10 out of 10. You can know exactly where the calls and where the clients came from. Scalability is a 10 out of 10, and the reason is really simple. Let's say, for example, that you spend $100 a day and you do everything right, you can recoup $100 in front-end sales, meaning that you basically spent zero to acquire those low-ticket offer customers, meaning that you pretty much have unlimited budget that you can use to scale. Now, can you start with low budget? Not really. Most of the times you're going to need to have a bit of a higher budget than $60. Can you see results fast? Even in this case, not really, because if you think about it, like the process, people see the ad, they buy the low ticket offer, they need to consume the content from the low ticket offer most of the times, which it can take like 3 days to a week. From there, you need to start the appointment setting process and get them on a call, which means that it's going to take some time to turn a low ticket offer customer into a high ticket customer. And last variable, is it difficult to implement? Yes, it's quite difficult to implement because you need to integrate all the payment processors, you need to create the sales funnel, which is going to be quite long, you need to write all the ad copy, you need to then create integration to enroll people into the low ticket offer or small training or small course that you created. So it's not the easiest, I can tell you that because we built many low ticket offers. So overall, I give it a 6 out of 10. We then have another pretty common strategy, which is the 3-day challenge. Basically, the way it works is the same as a live webinar. So you do a lead generation period, which normally is 14 days. Then the challenge start, and then every day you go live inside of a group or on Zoom. You spend like 2 to 3 hours with people. You give them value. You go through the content, and then at the end of the 3 days, you start booking calls. Or you can sell directly product, but it's not as easy. It's better to book calls if it's the first time you run a 3-day challenge. Now, in terms of trackability, 10 out of 10. In terms of scalability, same problems that we had with the live webinar. It's not evergreen. Can you start with low budget? No. Can you see results fast? Not really. And is it difficult to implement? No, but it's still not super easy. So overall, I give it a 5 out of 10. Then we have Skool groups, which are getting more and more popular. Now, when it comes to Skool groups, the trackability is a 10 out of 10, meaning that you can track exactly from which ad the members, the calls, and the clients came from. Scalability, I will give it a 6 out of 10 because you have a couple of problems. Number one, if you get 100 leads, not 100 leads are going to join the group. Most of the time, there is a pretty big drop-off. So let's say that you got 100 leads, maybe 50 people actually join the group. So you're already losing 50% of the leads. Second problem is that people will take time to go through the content, go through the community. You need to keep the community active. And also appointment setting on Skool is not really that easy. Can you see results fast? No, for the problems that I just mentioned. And is it difficult to implement? Not really. And that's why overall I give it a 7 out of 10. We then have the VSL plus outbound. So the way it works is really simple. You have the ad. You send people to a page where they enter their details, name, email address, phone number. From there, they watch a video. The video again can be from like 3 minutes to like an hour. And then after they watch the video, they can book a call, which is a similar funnel to the one that I am running right now, the one that you came in. Now, when it comes to the VSL plus outbound, and by outbound, I mean when they enter their details, email address and phone number, you can also reach out to them to increase the amount of people that you are booking into a call. Trackability for this strategy is a 10 out of 10. Once again, you can track exactly from which ad each calls and each close came from, meaning that you can optimize and you can really allocate the budget on the ads that are getting like a good return. Scalability, once again, is a 10 out of 10. Like if you look at some of the biggest people in the industry, they always run a VSL funnel because it's evergreen. You can optimize for calls, you can optimize for quality, and it's really stable and predictable as a strategy. If I look at all of the clients that we work with and all of the people that I consulted over the years, the ones that were able to see the most consistent results and were able to scale the most were always people that had the VSL plus outbound strategy. For a point, can you start with low budget? Yes, you can. You can even start with like $20 a day, and that's not a problem. Can you see results fast? The answer is yes, and we actually do track a very important metric with all of the clients that we work with, all the people that do consulting with, and that metric is how much time elapses from when someone opts in to when they book a call. And most of the times, like, it's very fast. In a lot of cases, 1 day, in some cases 2 days, in some cases 3 days, but you can literally turn a stranger into a book call within a couple days. Is it difficult to implement? I would say medium, because you need some experience with writing the VSL and you just need the right framework. But overall, I give it a 9 out of 10. And the beauty about the video sales letter funnel is that it's the only strategy that it truly operates on autopilot, and it's evergreen. Once you create a high converting video sales letter, you will wake up with qualified calls on your calendar with people who already know you, people already trust you, and people already familiar with your program and the results that you can get for people. And the best part is that if you have the right framework, it can work in any niche. Now, some of you might be thinking, I've tried it before, it didn't work. I've heard you need a lot of money to make it work. Or it's 2024 now, VSL doesn't work anymore. Now, let me tell you that VSL, just like paid ads, they always work. but the denominator always needs to be the same. And what is the common denominator? You need to have a proven and battle-tested framework. And that's not just for VSL, that's for all of the strategies that I mentioned before. Because in some cases, and those are rare cases, the VSL might not be the best fit for you and for your offer. And this is exactly why I'm here recording this video today. I want to help you build the perfect client acquisition system for your business, a system that is reliable, predictable, scalable, and hyper profitable. How we're going to be doing that is actually really simple. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be reverse engineering the numbers. So we're going to be looking at your target. What is the goal that you have? Then we're going to be determining what's the price of your offer and if we can increase the pricing. Then we're going to be analyzing how many units you need to sell per month to reach your target or your goal, whether that is 30K per month, 50K per month, 100K per month, whatever the goal might be. Then we're going to be looking at your closing rate and see if we need to make any changes to the sales process in order to increase it. We're then going to be looking at how many calls you need per month. We're going to be looking at how many leads you need per month. So for example, let's say that your goal is to get to 50K per month. Let's say that your offer price is 3,000. Once again, we do the same thing that we did throughout the video. We're going to need 17 sales per month. Let's say that your closing rate is 20% and your show up rate is 70% on the calls. That means that you're going to need 33 calls per month. If you have an average conversion rate that is 10%, it means that you're going to have 333 leads. And again, we're going to be looking at your offer, we're going to be looking at the industry, we're going to be looking at the country where you're going to be running the ads, and we're going to be determining which one of the strategies that I mentioned before is going to be the best one for your specific offer. Whether that is going to be the VSL, whether it's going to be the Instagram follower ad, whether that is going to be the Skool group. We're going to be analyzing all of these variables, and then we're going to be making a plan specifically tailored for you. And this is exactly why I'm here today recording this video. I want to help you build the perfect client acquisition system for your business, a system that is reliable, a system that is predictable, scalable, and hyper profitable. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be reverse engineering the numbers. You've seen that in this video. What I did was basically just break down all of the steps and break down all of the numbers and the targets that we need to hit in order to reach the goal. So let's say, for example, that your goal is to get to 50K per month. The first thing we're going to be looking at is going to be your offer. Are you currently charging high ticket? If you're not charging high ticket, we're going to be analyzing what are the steps that we need to take in order for you to have an offer where you can charge $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 or more. Then we're going to be analyzing and determining how many units and how many clients you need to get per month. So let's say in this case, for example, again, 50K is the target. The offer is 3K. We need 17 clients per month. After that, we're going to be looking at the average closing rate. So let's say that your closing rate is 20%. First of all, we're going to be analyzing whether we can increase it or not. But let's say it's 20%, and let's say that your average show up rate is going to be 70%. Then we know that we need to get 33 calls per month. Now let's assume a 10% conversion between lead to calls. That means that we're going to need to generate 333 leads per month. Now, once we have that target, then we're just going to have to pick the strategy, whether that is Instagram DM ads, live webinars, Skool groups, VSLs. We're just going to be looking at what is the strategy, as I said before, that has the highest chances of success and the highest likelihood of getting you the highest return possible. And then we're going to be making a projection on the budget needed to reach the target, plus make a list of all of the assets that we will need to deploy the strategy. And trust me when I say that you will walk away from the call with clarity and with a blueprint. So if you're a coach, consultant, course creator, or a service provider, then trust me when I say that the call will be extremely beneficial and will give you a lot of clarity, because after working with 150 clients, I can pick up patterns. Probably your situation is not that unique. I've seen other clients being in the same position as before, and I know exactly what are the sets of actions that we need to take in order for you to reach the goal that you have. Once again, whether that is getting to 10K per month, 30K per month, 50K per month, 500K per month, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of getting clarity on the target and then reverse engineering all of the actions and all of the steps that we need to take in order to reach the goal. So with that being said, the steps, as you already know, are very simple. You simply click the link below. There's going to be a button. You just schedule the call. You're going to be receiving an email confirmation with the date and the time. And then after that, you make sure to show up to the call. And that's really it. And then we're going to take it from there. And of course, if you have any other question, you can just feel free to message me on Instagram. You can find me at bonazzamarco_. Any question that you have, you just let me know and I'll be more than happy to answer. And yeah, with that being said, I think that's it for today's video. I really hope you got some value and I hope to see you soon on a call. Bye.